I'm doing quite well under the circumstances. I will tell you, my mother died last night. Abandonment, which actually we just talked about.
Yeah.
Find someone who has devoted their life and their soul's passion to that, where their soul's passion is to help others.
So, folks, you have tuned into TGV and hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, the world's only quadrilingual podcast at this moment of recording. And we are trying to embark into multiple languages as we speak. And here we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Navin Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. Anne Marachek is an author, storyteller, performer, and speaker dedicated to teaching mindfulness and compassion to children and adults. With a unique blend of memoir and healing practices, Anne guides individuals through healing childhood traumas and embracing their inner child, fostering a journey of forgiveness and personal growth. And as we prepare to delve into our conversation on the topic at hand, healing the inner child, a journey to wellness and compassion, here's an exciting twist as always. Let us tickle our guest's brain. So, Anne, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. If you're ready, let's get started.
I'm ready.
I love your energy. All right, here comes my first word, compassion.
The love of the universe flowing through your spirit.
Wow. Childhood.
Precious, ideally magical.
Mindfulness.
The pause before you respond.
Resilience.
The grace to accept what happens and pivot.
Strength.
Good night's sleep.
Okay. Transformation.
Transformation is inevitable, but neutral. How you respond to it is whether it's positive or negative.
Reflection.
Inner quiet with purpose.
Love.
Unconditional, omnipresent.
Confidence.
The direct result of practice.
Fear.
Separation from God.
Courage.
Doing the next right thing, no matter what it is.
Trust.
I'd say an earned history of experience.
Okay. And here comes the last word, joy.
Being in the creative flow of your spirit.
Amazing. I loved all your responses to the first rapid fire round. And there is one more rapid fire round towards the end of the episode. So stay tuned. And hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well under the circumstances. I will tell you, my mother died last night. Yes. And she was very excited that I was going to be here with you and sharing with your audience. And I'm here to make her proud.
My God.
So doing the next right thing.
It takes a lot of courage. As you said, I think doing the next right thing. Wow. I can't digest this. And kudos to your spirit and stay strong, and sorry to hear that. Let's move forward, Anne, and would like to...
Well, today is for her to make her proud.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you share a bit about your journey and what inspired you to focus on healing the inner child?
Yes, actually, it deals with my parents. My parents announced to me that they were transitioning to an assisted living apartment and asked me to empty their house. This was a 3,000 square foot home, 52 years of accumulated stuff. It's a monumental task. And in the process of seeing the items from my childhood literally brought out of the attic, it triggered old childhood memories repressed childhood traumas and brought to light broken relationships between family members. And these things had never really been properly dealt with. And I decided it was time to stop fighting battles, put down that sword and pick up the pen. And I began writing a healing journey real time through the process of helping my parents empty their house.
And now let's talk about your success mantra, as in, please share with our audience the top 3 things that have contributed to your success so far.
I think it's a very important thing to have a clear vision of your goals. When your heart and your mind are visualizing the thriving life that you want to live, I truly believe the universe steps in and helps manifest that reality for you. You need to be open to say yes. Say yes to the opportunities and the synchronicities that are presented to you and move forward with courage through those. And always follow your passion. It's very important to focus on how your projection will help others. So always ask yourself, how does this fit with my own soul's purpose? And how does this help others?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is so profound statement. I loved it. How does it fit your own purpose and how does it help others, right? I think that truly resonates with what I am doing through my platform. And I keep telling myself, right, I have a bigger vision in terms of impacting the lives and careers of millions across the globe, and driving these kind of conversations, right, is helping me learn, and while educating the society and the community and working towards the betterment of people. So, yep. Great thought there, and let's move forward. And my next one is around how can these mindfulness and compassion help in healing the childhood traumas?
Children have a very narrow perspective of view of situations that they're put into. They see everything in the world as focused on themselves. They think they are the causation of everything in the universe. But as adults, we can remember these childhood traumas or experiences and explain to the child within that they were not the causation, put the back up and put the experience in a bigger context. And by seeing the complex adult problems of the other people that were in the circumstance surrounding that memory and explaining to the child that there were much bigger forces at work that they were not able to comprehend at those tiny ages, it really helps put things in perspective and separates the emotional response of the child from now the adult understanding. So it puts it in a bigger context that the child can't possibly have advantage of.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And also, can you share some practical steps that adults can take to connect with and heal their inner child?
Yes. First, it's really important to try to remember in as much detail as you can the memories that are triggering these emotional responses within you. Because until you can remember who was there, what the circumstances were, it's hard to analyze. An adult analyzation of the circumstances is very important because that will enable you to stand back, separate the childhood emotional response that triggers from the adult understanding of, okay, you were not the cause, you just happened to be caught in the crossfire of these other people's traumas and conflicts, and you were just the child sitting there in the crossfire. So you need to separate and explain the circumstance. That way, you quit that cycle, that repeating cycle of always having the emotional childhood response. Once you realize I was not the causation and I can move forward from this, understanding that the people involved had their own issues, their own problems, and I no longer need to respond emotionally to this situation.
Mm-hmm. I got it. Mm-hmm. And also during our initial conversation, you mentioned about the concept of this sending love and acceptance back in the time to the child we once were, right? So can you explain that to
Yes.
our audience as well?
Yes. Well, actually, a lot of it comes from Einstein. Einstein's theory of relativity, he explained, and string theory now, modern string theory is finding this more and more true, that past, present, and future coexist. Because of our perspective, we see time as linear, but it is not necessarily that way. And it is possible to kind of alter your perspective of your past by being your own parent now, by telling the child within, you are a precious little soul. You have the right to speak your truth, to find your voice, to move forward and live your best, most fulfilled life, regardless of the experiences and the recordings of self-doubt and negativity that may have been given to you as a child. You can choose to move forward and write your own reality. You can tell the child within, you're safe now, you're loved, you're accepted, and find your voice. Share with others, be creative, love yourself, love the universe. And it's possible to move forward and quit reacting to those old experiences and emotions.
Yeah. Got it. That is clear. And now I have another interesting question. Like, how do these childhood traumas and limiting beliefs manifest in our adult lives? Do we really have that impact?
Yes, they do. Let me give you an example from my marriage.
Okay.
I was constantly afraid that my husband would abandon me. And he never gave me any indication of that. He was always there. He always has been. He's always been the supportive, steadfast. There's a song, The Wind Beneath My Wings. He has always fulfilled that. But I still had this irrational fear that he was going to just abandon me. And through this process of journaling my book and helping my parents unpack the attic, I remembered that my parents used to fight when they were in the car. And my mother at a stoplight would literally jump out of the car and walk away. And I was a tiny child, seat belted into the back, strapped, seeing my mother leaving and my father driving off. And that it happened over and over again. I was completely forgotten about in the back seat. And that's where the abandonment fear came from. And once I was able to identify where that fear was coming from, I could say, okay, that was then, this is now, and I no longer need to be triggered by that old emotional response. It served its purpose at the time. It was understandable response for the child. But as an adult, I need to move forward and quit reliving that. Yeah. So anytime I think that there is an emotional response that doesn't seem to have an immediate causation, so oftentimes when we analyze, we can look back in time and find the original source.
Yeah. Got it. And let's move forward to the next one. So, Anne, can you also mention these 5 wounds of childhood and how can one begin to analyze and heal them?
Yes. Well, rejection. I had a grandfather that never spoke to me. Abandonment, which actually we just talked about.
Yeah.
Humiliation. I used to have a horrible stage fright fear that I had to overcome, which is interesting because I'm now a recording artist. Betrayal and injustice. And I think all of us experience all 5 of those in some facet and in some form within our childhood. And in each case, it's necessary to analyze these events, surround yourself with the emotional memory, and then universally, the innocence of the child was just caught in the crossfire. So we have to tell our inner child, you're precious, you're loved. You no longer need to respond to these old memories, and you can write your own sense of love and self-acceptance and self-worth and value in real time now. quit bringing the past forward. You need to make peace with that and write your own future.
All right, I got it. And could you also share a story from your memoir that highlights the process of healing and also forgiveness?
Yes. So let's talk about the first childhood trauma, which is rejection.
Rejection, yeah.
I had a grandfather on my father's side, and everyone called him Pop. And his wife died of diabetes when she was very young. And so everyone said that Pop quit living the day that Grandma died.
Mm-hmm.
And to put that in perspective, we used to go to visit him in his flat, and we'd walk in, take off coats, and he would point at the red velvet couch and tell me, "Sit down." And honestly, those are the only two words I ever remember him telling me. And he and my parents would go in his kitchen, and I would sit there glued in fear, staring around the room as the sounds of laughter and the smell of cooking floated into the room. I was not fed dinner. I sat there and waited for them. He would come back into the living room, sit in his big overstuffed chair, and I still have it, puff on his pipe and fill the room with the aroma of cherry wood smoke. And all I ever wanted to do was sit in his lap.
Mm-hmm.
It was tragic. And we both missed out on so much. He missed out on the greatest joy of laughing with his grandchild.
Yeah.
And we both deserved better. And during the process of journaling this whole experience and remembering these things, I decided to write him a letter. And at first, all I wanted to do was scream at him and demand an apology. How dare you do that to a child? But again, setting adult perspective back in time and understanding with compassion his inner hurt, I ended up writing, "I forgive you, and I'm so sorry you were broken. And I'm hoping maybe next life we can repair that relationship." So that's
so moving, actually. Yeah, I loved it. I think, yeah, your reaction was so great. I mean, your response was so thoughtful, amazing. And we've had some incredible conversations so far, sharing the insights about the fears and also the wounds of childhood. And also we have had conversation around compassion and how mindfulness can help us get better and so on. And it's time for us to add some more spice and some more excitement to the episode. If you're ready, I'll kick off the second rapid fire round.
okay.
Okay, comes the first bullet. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
Love each other.
Wow. And what is the most impactful piece of advice that you have ever received?
In any situation, always ask yourself, how does this fit with my soul's purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
With your own soul's purpose. Wow. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Creative.
And what is the most cherished possession?
My Steinway piano.
Okay. And a book that changed your life?
Everything I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten by Robert Fulghum.
Mm-hmm. And the biggest fear you have overcome?
Death.
All right, here comes the last one for the second rapid fire round. Complete this phrase 3 times. Never have I ever.
Never have I ever wanted anything more than to share this message of healing with the world.
Mm-hmm.
Never have I ever had enough time. And never have I ever met a chocolate I didn't like.
Amazing. I loved them. And thank you so much for participating in the second rapid fire round as well. And let's flip back to the mainstream. So, and what
Sure.
advice do you have for making financial decisions with confidence, especially when dealing with insecurities that are rooted in childhood?
If you're insecure about your finances, I would tell you to do what the president of the United States or the president of a corporation does, and that is find yourself good advisors.
Mm-hmm.
No one is expected to be an expert in all fields. It's simply not possible. If you're going to be a concert pianist and a composer, as I am, you cannot spend the equal amount of time it takes to do that on learning finances and investing. It's simply impossible. So therefore, it's a matter of research and trust. Find someone who has devoted their life and their soul's passion to that, where their soul's passion is to help others be good financial advisors and good stewards of their own resources and good stewards for their family, and trust their advice. And then when you're given that advice, of course, think about it, pray on it, and make sure it does conform to your own inner needs, but then act on it. I can remember my father pacing the floor in the kitchen, mumbling to himself with such insecurities. If I sell these stocks, I won't have the stocks. But then if I make the money, then I have to pay taxes. And then he was so conflicted. He had no idea what to do. His financial advisor had said sell. He couldn't pull the trigger, couldn't do it. He couldn't trust his own advisor. And that inability to make a decision became the decision to do nothing, which ended up ultimately costing the family over $1 million.
Oh my God.
As we watched the stock go back down.
Yeah.
It was his opportunity of a lifetime, and he couldn't seize it. He couldn't say yes. And that's part of living the courageous life, right? Is learning how to say yes. Yeah. And learning to trust those that you have brought into your life as your confidants and your advisors. So we're not islands. We need each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, the way you put it is amazing. Like, we are not islands and we need each other. Amazing, Anne. And I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us today. And how is your experience being hosted on The Guiding Voice?
I absolutely loved it. I think you're doing a marvelous service to the world. I applaud you, and I hope that you continue. And yes, thank you so much. It's been lovely.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you once again. So look forward to hosting you again in future, and I wish you all the best in everything that you do.
Thank you so much, and to you too. Blessings.
Thank you. Thank you. So friends, that was our episode with Anne Marachek. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, please subscribe from wherever you have tuned in. And also, if you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV, The Guiding Voice, so spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now it's time for us to hop into the trivia segment. And having had amazing conversation with Anne Marachek on healing the inner child, I thought I would present you a fact related to the concept of healing the inner child, especially about its origin. So, healing the inner child has its roots in the work of Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, who introduced the idea of integrating different parts of the self for wholeness. And this approach has evolved and gained popularity in modern psychotherapy, emphasizing the importance of addressing childhood traumas for holistic mental health and well-being, similar to how our speaker Anne is doing. So before I let you go, here is my question. What is that you are doing to heal your inner child? And if you have any best practices to share, please feel free to leave a comment if you are watching this episode on YouTube, or you can comment on any social media platform wherever you have found the episode. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome community. So folks, stay tuned for the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care. Love you all.